Hi, I'm Becki McBride. I'm one of the occupational therapists here at Anna Shaw, and I'm here with Hannah Cannon, our speech therapist, and we're going to talk to you a little bit today about how to use books and toys to help your child learn. Because it's almost October, we're going to be talking about fall-themed things. And the first thing is how to find books. Well, you can, first of all, just go on and search, do a Google search for fall books. We searched using just putting the word preschool in there, and that got us some board books and some shorter books. You can go to your local library to look for books. You can ask any of them there. You can also search on YouTube. There's a lot of videos where teachers actually read, or they'll have animation, so you can watch books that way. And then my favorite way to read books is actually listening to them. So you can utilize Audible. You can also do that through your local library, where you can just listen to the books while you're in the car.
Okay. And we know that oftentimes young children don't know how to interact with books. So we don't want you to worry about your child not being motivated by books yet. We just want to introduce them to books. So sometimes listening to books or watching the video on YouTube can be just a fun way to introduce books before your child is ready to listen to a full story. And once you've gotten some books in hand, there are lots of other things you can do before you start to read every word. So first, working on the orientation of the book. So when you give your child the book, do they know that the pictures are upside down? Can they turn it around to look at the pictures? Practicing turning pages. And again, if you have a young child and you worry about them tearing the pages, you can work on gently turning the pages to explore books. Teachers, if you're any teachers listening, we love to do book walks. So we just look at the pictures in the book and talk about the story, tell the story based on the pictures we see without reading the words. From a vocabulary standpoint, we like to point and label the pictures. So including the objects, actions, and the characters that you have in the book. Also a fun way is to introduce sounds paired with pictures. So if there's an airplane on the page, you might point to the airplane, look, an airplane, shh, and you can do some fun sounds that your child might like to try and imitate. So just remember, don't worry about reading the book word for word, just think about exploring it with your child. Okay. Our first fall theme we chose was apples. Everybody loves apples in fall. And these are just a few examples of books we found when we did a Google search or a YouTube search. Apple Trouble is one of my favorites. It's about a little hedgehog who he's trying to go to sleep for winter or for fall, take a nap, and he starts getting lots of little objects stuck on his back. So it's a fun way to label some objects. It also has some fun sounds in there. So the apple falls on his back and it goes plop. So that's a fun thing to practice with your child. The 10 Little Apples book, lots of our kids love numbers, so you can practice counting with those objects. And then we also like to use our child's favorite characters. So if your child loves Peppa or Paw Patrol, you might find books with those characters in there that kind of go with the theme. And you can also pull out just some great fall vocabulary. So not just working on apple, but think about the characters again, Peppa, the squirrels. Think about what we do with apples. We pick, we carry them, we put them in a basket, and then we can also work on those great color words too.
So when you're thinking about picking a book, for instance, the first one we'll talk about is apple. So you can talk about apples when you're reading the book, and then we come up with some different activities to also talk about that theme of apples. So the first one that I'll show you is just making an apple craft. And this is really easy, of course, as an OT. I'm going to think about all that fun motor things. If they're working on cutting, they can snip with scissors, or they can tear the paper, or if those things are too hard, you can tear it and have it ready for them, and then they'll just put the paper on to make the picture. Another fun thing you can do is make apple snacks. If you can see on the slide, one has just a funny peanut using nut butter and apples, and I think, is that marshmallows?
I think so, yes.
So it makes a fun little snack. You can also sort. The other picture, the little boy, he is dipping, which is a motor activity. And then he's sorting the apples, green and red. And so again, when you're talking about this, you can do the sensory with the water, but then you're also going to be using language and talking about the colors.
Absolutely. Even something just as simple as having an apple that you're cutting up for snack. You can talk about all of that vocabulary. Here, look at the stem and let your child touch it and interact with it. Start to understand those words, the seeds, the skin, and then you can introduce that as a food too. So you're really working on the vocabulary, the feeding aspect, the fine motor, and all that.
You can visit an apple orchard. That's one of my favorite things to do in the fall. And then another thing, a lot of parents will ask me about sensory bins at home or sensory boxes. And so we have a picture here. It's using oatmeal, and you can put either pumpkin pie spice or cinnamon sticks in to get some smells incorporated. You can work on scooping, pouring. You can also use dried beans with this, but that's another fun activity to incorporate that apple theme.
Okay. And then of course, just visiting the apple orchard. So then after you've read your book about apples and you talk about picking apples or eating apples, then you can go have that real life experience of going to the farm and checking that out in real life. Okay. Our next theme is pumpkins. Everybody loves pumpkins right now. So we chose Patty's Pumpkin Patch would be great if you're getting ready for a trip to the pumpkin patch. Lots of daycares and schools go on field trips. So that would kind of get your child prepared for the things they may see when they go. The 5 Little Pumpkins book is super fun. Again, for the counting, you can always find a song on YouTube that would go with this book. So your child may not love to sit and read the book, but they love to sing the song. So you could sing the song as they interact with that book. And then one of my favorites is Splat the Cat and his pumpkin picking plan. I love it. It talks about he's raking leaves with his mom, and then they jump in, splat, there he goes, right in the leaves. It's a lot of fun. And then later in the book, lots of great vocabulary. He's looking for the perfect pumpkin. This one's not big enough. This one is not round enough. This one is not orange enough. So it really gives you the opportunity to start paying attention to those colors and describing words that can build your child's vocabulary.
Again, with some activities to follow it with the pumpkin theme. Again, you can use paper and tear and make into a picture of a jack-o'-lantern. A sensory box, again, you can use black beans, and you can put a bunch of different just items from the discount store, and you can work on scooping and pouring with that. When you, if you get a real pumpkin, and when you open that and have a child put their hands in and explore that, they can use the seeds for counting and sorting. Some of our kids that we work with don't like their hands being messy. And so with that, you can just take the insides of the pumpkin and put in a Ziploc bag. And that way they can still have somewhat of that sensation, but their hands don't get quite as messy. Another fun fine motor activity is making pumpkins with Play-Doh, and I'll show you. You can work on their hand skills, and I'll kind of show you to use it and to make into small balls. And then you can put a stem on top. And again, you're just kind of talking about what you're doing. Oh, I'm making pumpkins, that kind of thing. You can set them out and count them. There's a bunch of different things that you can do.
And you can see how the vocabulary or the communication aspect of this really kind of overlaps with the fine motor and sensory. So while your child is learning by touching and interacting with things, you are talking about what you're doing. So you're building vocabulary at the same time. So lots of fun. And then comparing even those pumpkins. I made a little pumpkin. Mommy's pumpkin is big. So lots of fun things you can do with pumpkins. Okay. And our last theme is leaves, of course. I don't know if it can get any easier than leaves to go outside and just find some leaves. But one of our favorite books for this was We're Going on a Leaf Hunt. So you could definitely find a song to go along with this book. Red leaf, yellow leaf is great for those color words, kind of comparing and talking about how the leaves change in the fall. And then if you know any speech therapists, we love the old lady who swallowed books just because she eats lots of fun things, so you can learn that vocabulary. And at the end, it kind of comes out and she has made a scarecrow. So it kind of gets you going in the right direction for a fun craft to do.
Got a sensory bin here to show you. This has just got some of the paper and just some small pumpkins, some leaves, and so you can use this. Or earlier today we went out and just collected these from the outside. So these are just some dried leaves and sticks, and you can also use these as a sensory bin. You can use it with your hands to explore, or again, you can use it to sort. You can use it to talk about a green leaf or yellow leaves or red leaves. Another fun activity, of course, you can see a picture is, we talked about this earlier in the book, is just jumping in the leaves. Jumping in a pile of leaves is a lot of fun. Most people are really familiar with doing the leaf rubbings, which is taking wax paper and a crayon, and you put a leaf down and rub on top of that. You can talk about the different colors and what it feels like. A craft activity that you can do similar to the apple and pumpkin is if you go out and collect your leaves, you can just take a paper plate, you cut the center portion out, and you just glue those around, and it makes a cute little fall wreath. And again, as an OT, I'm always talking about pre-writing and letters and that kind of thing. And another fun thing you can do, even with sticks or with the leaves. Whoops, I'm throwing sticks around here. So you can take the sticks and use those to make a cross, or we do sometimes up and down lines or make letters. You can also do that if you write a letter with a marker, and then you can have the child put the leaves on top to form that shape or design. That's just another fun way to kind of emphasize using leaves with a learning activity.
And I love the leaves. That one may be my favorite, just because you could kind of do that. Let's rake up the leaves and jump in the leaves activity, and then just put some in a bin and come inside and do all of your crafts, the sensory bin, the colors, the leaf rubbing, and then the wreath. And so it's really more about not so much about making a perfect craft, but the fun that you have while you're doing it. So collecting the materials and the action of putting it together is where your child is really learning.
We say it's about the process.
Okay, so remember, those are our three themes. You can find lots of books to go with those, lots of fun activities. But just remember, the most important thing is just to explore books with your child, expose them to books. Like I said, they may not be motivated by books when we start, but once you consistently introduce books to them and show them how much fun we can have with them, that they're going to be more ready to listen to those stories. So once you've explored your book, just remember to provide a real life experience that's related to the topic or theme in your books. And know that you don't have to go out and buy a lot of new things to do this. You can use household items or items in nature whenever possible. And most importantly is to go outside and have fun. Like we said, that's when your child is learning, when they're engaged and having fun with you.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed, and let us know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you.
See ya.